Going on, guys? Getting in the green. Here we're going to recap the Brunson Till card for you guys, kind of go over our picks and DraftKings. And overall, it was a really good weekend. So let's dive right into it.
Yeah, let's go over some so the fight recap. We had a pretty good day for straight pick'ems. One of our bets probably left us to dry. That was a tough one with Shore, but otherwise not a bad day. So let's get it going. First fight, pretty much nailed it. Luigi Gumbala versus
Mark Barriot.
Barriot, yeah.
And, I mean, gas tank was the biggest factor here. Also, I mean, Barriot's striking was just so much better than Jimbala. Like,
yeah.
That guy was just winging hooks and just getting jabbed right up the middle the whole fight. We didn't get the finish, but easy, unanimous decision.
Yeah, it pretty much played out how we called that one, where, lost the first round, the grappling had a factor, but it was the gas tank and the sprawl and brawl that ultimately was the biggest difference there. Comfortably won rounds 2 and 3, and one was competitive, and gas tank took over.
Yeah, good fight though.
Good fight.
Not optimal for DraftKings, but yeah, they got it done.
All right, next one. This was a tough one. Great fight though. Was Arosa versus Jourdain, and Arosa did get the sub in round 3, so we missed our bet on that one. Luckily, we didn't go too heavy on Jourdain. We did have a bet on him that we lost, but it was relatively small, so it wasn't the end of the world, but. Arosa was definitely on the optimal lineup for DraftKings. We did play a little bit of him. We thought it was a close-ish fight in terms of him being a dog, but yeah, Jourdain just really. First off, I thought he was going to be a little bit levels above striking than it was. The striking was much more competitive than I thought it was going to be, and then Jourdain's grappling really did fail him. He looked like a fish out of water on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, we got to question his black belt at this point. He gave up his back so easy trying to get up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was easy work for Erosa in the third. And, I mean, going into the third, I felt confident still.
The fight could have gone either way then.
It was 1-1 going to the third, and Jourdain had the momentum. But, yeah, the second this thing turned into a grappling affair in the third, he looked terrible on the ground.
Yeah.
But good win for Erosa. We knew he was a live dog. I mean...
Fun fight, too.
It was a fun fight. He's a scrapper. But, yeah, pretty disappointing for Jourdain. And makes me kind of question how the fight that got canceled would have went with Rojo and Martinez.
Yeah.
I had a lot more faith in that Rojo-Jourdain fight than probably should have. So, yeah, I mean, this is good for Erosa. Jourdain, this is a big step back, man. You're going to have a hard time kind of working your way back up now.
Yep. All right, next fight. Probably our biggest loss from a bet perspective of the night was Jack Shore versus Shalinian. And, I mean, this was one-way traffic from a competitive standpoint. Jack Shore just had his way with him. So, in that sense, he did his job. But it was pretty surprising that he wasn't able to get the finish, especially the way the first round went, how close he was to getting the sub. So, it was a disappointing for us, not only from a straight bet perspective, because we did lay heavy on Shore inside the distance, which I still felt confident in during the fight, but also on DraftKings, he actually was not a great scorer. He was okay. I think he was in the number one winning lineup, but I think he did not really make value. There was just such a small card with only 9 fights that he was a winner that was in there, but I think he only scored the 85 range, so
yeah,
a little disappointing.
Honestly, I mean, he dominated the fight. Shalinian didn't land a punch for 7.5 minutes to start this thing. This is just disappointing for sure, though. You're trying to work your way up the rankings. You're trying to make a name for yourself, and you get handed this soft toss fight, and you don't finish the guy. Had a sub attempt in the first round, tried to switch to an armbar, I believe, and kind of lost it. And the round ends, and I'm like, okay, round 2, he's going to take him back to the ground and just get to work on this guy. And he just coasts for the next 10 minutes. It's hard to build a name for yourself if you're not going to take these fights. And, there's no knock on a guy just winning the fight. That's what the sport's all about, is getting W's. But this was an opportunity to really, increase his trajectory. And
Yeah, I don't want to be too overly critical because he had a good performance. He dominated the fight. It's just one of those, when you really look like you're in that little of danger and you're that many levels above your opponent, you got to go put on a show and finish people, and that's how you move up the rankings a lot faster and get people excited and talking about you. And it looked like he had the ability to do that without a doubt, and he kind of took the easy path. So, yeah, not trying to knock him too much. Dominant win. He's a guy to keep an eye on. He still looks like he's going to be a contender in the future here, but I was expecting a little more from him.
Yeah.
All right, next fight we had McCann versus Kim, which
this fight actually turned into a fun fight to watch.
It did.
I didn't have high expectations here, but they put on a firefight, man. They went at each other.
Yeah, we can admit that we fucked up on that one. We talked some shit about this fight before it came in, and it was pretty entertaining.
It was a very entertaining fight. McCann looked good. Both fighters had their high moments in that fight, and McCann pulls off the unanimous decision. Good win for her. I don't see much trajectory for either of them still, but honestly, as far as from an entertainment standpoint, that fight really brought it to finish up the prelim card.
Yep. All right, main card, which was great main card, really. Just all the fights were good. We're gonna start with one of the most hyped one, which was Paddy Pimblett versus Vendramini, and what a round it was. I did pick Paddy. I didn't think it was going to go down like that. I thought he could win the striking, but I thought he was going to mix in some timely takedowns, possibly get the sub, but be the busier fighter on the ground. That's not what happened. We got a straight brawl, which got him rocked and, pretty close to being finished, but showed he could take some adversity and come back, and he's got power, and he's a fighter for sure. He's a little bulldog in terms of he wants to go in there and trade punches, and made a fan here. I think he's going to have to be a little smarter and more careful if he really wants to move up the rankings. But from a pure fan entertainment standpoint, he got a lot of fans, and people are going to know his name after this weekend.
Yeah, I wasn't on the hype train coming into this and watched the fight. It was great fight. And then in the octagon, his post-fight press conference had me scared. He just was talking about how he can't get knocked out, and obviously adrenaline was pumping. And I'm sitting there like, man, you got hit with the left hook that a better striker would have put you to sleep.
Yeah.
But in his post-fight presser, he owned up to it, man. He said he's got to stop getting punched as much. His boxing coaches were on him. I like the guy, man. He said he's game. He'll take any fighter, anytime, anywhere. He's not turning down any fights. The guy's got hands. And this, had he just pulled off a submission or a decision win against Luigi, would have been in the same boat with him. For him to go out there and knock out Luigi in the first round, I think Vendramini hadn't been knocked out in that weight class ever. It's a big win. And with his persona, the UFC is going to just skyrocket this guy up. And I think we'll see his next fight either in the UK card or one of those big pay-per-views here at the end of the year. And they're going to give him a contender, man. They're going to give him somebody that's, top 15 ranked, and we're going to see a firefight.
He's talking the right talk, too. He's getting attention. He's making headlines, so.
Half the sport's selling tickets, and, the same knock we have on Jack Shore in the opposite direction. This guy definitely earned himself another fight real quick, and
exactly.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yep. And the fact that he was main card on his first UFC fight, already he was doing the right talking. All right, next fight. One of our biggest wins on the card was Roundtree versus Bukauskas, and Roundtree dominated. And we were spot on this one. We thought Roundtree was just far superior Muay Thai practitioner, striker, was going to stay standing. He dominated the fight, finished him with a controversial finish kick there that most likely, I don't know if the reports have come out yet, but definitely tore a lot of ligaments and
that knee's gone.
Fucked up his knee. But from a a bet standpoint, we hit that one. From a DraftKings, I think he was on
7,700 was definitely on the optimal lineup.
definitely optimal. I think he was on like 95% of our cards because we were so confident in his finish in the money and in the tournament. So we played a lot of him. So that really helped. But yeah, great showing. You know, Roundtree, sometimes you get those inconsistencies, but this was definitely the good Roundtree.
And good Roundtree's tough to beat.
He is tough to beat.
Also, I mean, let's touch on the oblique kick. I mean, he's getting so much hate for this kick because of the damage it did, but we're in a sport here to cause damage, and it's a legal move. He threw it 5 times in this fight. It's just the one that happened to land at the perfect timing finished the fight, but he was going to win this fight regardless, and I got no problem with this kick, man. These fighters that are asking to be protected, look, all the ways you can break and tear something in the UFC, I mean, I don't know if this is the one we need to...
Hey, here's where I'm at with it, where I don't have a problem with fighters saying they wish it was illegal and maybe it's a move they don't like. But to get so much hate, I feel like there was a lot of hate going towards Roundtree of, you know, a dirty move or karma's going to get you type of thing, where it's just like, come on, how is this any different than a leg lock, a knee bar, an arm bar for that matter, a Kimura? These are all moves that can drastically change a fighter's career if things are broken, bones are broken. Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva broke their legs in some of the most brutal fashion, just throwing a normal leg kick. It's a dangerous sport. So I'm for the kick. I don't think you need to get rid of it, even if it does get something that fighters want to get rid of. I'm in support of that, but you can't hate on Roundtree for obeying the rules that there are right now and winning the fight and getting his win bonus, helping provide for his family. I have no problem. It's a dangerous sport. It's a violent sport. He's within the rules. I don't get the hate on him. Fighters can have their commentary on what they think of the kick, but you can't hate on Roundtree for throwing it.
Great fight for him.
Yeah.
Huge win. Got the KO, TKO with the injury. He looked really good.
Yeah, he did.
And I feel like all that talk after the fight kind of took away from that, but I think clear Roundtree at the top of his game is somebody that really needs to be feared in that division.
And just to touch on that kick one more time, it's also, he's getting a lot of hate because he did it successfully, but it's a lot of fighters throw that kick. A lot of beloved fighters. I've seen Conor throw that kick. John Jones throws that kick a bunch. Robert Whittaker throws that kick all the time. Roundtree just used it more effectively, and he's getting a lot of hate, which is...
I mean, the timing was...
It's perfect.
It was perfect. I mean, the guy stepped forward right into it. Like I said, he threw it 5 times. The first 4 whiffed. He didn't hit anything with it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you get lucky, and... Yeah, look, also, you go into a fight to cause damage. If it's a legal move, it's a legal move. I got no hate on the guy for it.
And even just to highlight being a good sport, Bukowskis tweeted after his fight and basically was defending Roundtree and said, how it was such a efficient kick, great move, and I know what I signed up for. Stop hating on Roundtree for a good win. All right, on to the next one. Morono versus Sawada.
Great fight.
It was a great fight. This was a war. Honestly, not that it wasn't competitive, but it was, Morono showed that he was a little just on a different level, and it was competitive, but I was expecting a closer fight. I had a lot of trouble picking this fight, even though I picked Morono. I didn't expect him to look that good. He looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, you could definitely tell he had a little bit of fear, I think, of Zawada's ground game.
Yeah.
And so he kept this in a striking affair until the 3rd round when he knew Zawada was beaten down. But his striking, I mean, he absolutely dominated on the feet. Yep. Looked faster than he's looked in the past. Put together some... Honestly, the difference was the length of his combinations, man. Zawada would throw a 1-2, and Morono was coming 4 or 5 punch combos and just getting up on the numbers with it.
Yep.
He inflicted the damage. Yeah, I mean, overall, again, the way he fights, he's going to have a hard time really making a push because, I mean, sooner or later you're going to get caught fighting like that. Entertainment-wise, though, and for this showing alone to get paid, man, he had a great fight.
Yeah, Morono surprised me. I've a few times in his career, I feel like he's kind of reached his
peak
limit and peak skill-wise or, athletically that he's limited in certain areas, but he keeps putting on performances that shock me on how good he looks. So I'm excited to see where he goes. I still don't think he's a championship material necessarily, but I'm happy to see guys like that keep pushing and improving more than I thought.
And he's a tough fight for anybody.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, if you're one of the top guys, you probably don't want to take that Morono fight because you're going to get yourself into a dogfight and anything can happen. But that was exciting. I was leaning Morono, and DraftKings was mediocre scoring, but again, real fun fight to watch for entertainment standpoint.
All right, next fight, co-main event. We had Aspinall versus Spivak, and man, talk about a performance that puts you on the radar of. Aspinall's already been a guy that he's looked all good in all of his UFC fights. I think he's 3-0 or 4-0 now. It's either
4-0, I believe now. 2 knockouts, then he had the sub, and now he got this
so
knockout here.
4-0. Heavyweight division is already one of the easiest divisions as far as depth to move up quickly. He's doing that. He looks, the only comparison I can give it to for a heavyweight, very different styles, but it's like he has a little bit of the Cyril Gane going on where
so much fast.
Guy that big shouldn't move that fast and fluidly, and you look like you have skills of a guy that's at 155. So he's really fun to watch. He's a guy that that kind of is improving drastically every outing. And then one thing that some people called him having a bad mentality for this, but I think it's really smart. He came in after this fight and he called out, like a top 15 guy. I'm blanking on who he called out right now, but a guy with a very respectful call out. And someone asked, "What do you think? Do you want to go call it contender? Why did you call him out?" And he said, "You know what? I'm smart enough to know that I have a long career and I might not be ready for those top guys yet." So he didn't say I'm scared of him. He didn't say I didn't beat him. He actually corrected it quickly and said, no, I don't want anyone to think I'm scared or that I don't have confidence in myself. But I'm growing. I'm improving. He was smart with his career. And I feel like a lot of fighters, don't necessarily really think about their career strategically in the long term and taking a fight too early, taking a fight when you shouldn't. And he kind of sees it as a long journey to the championship. And I think it's a smart way to approach his career. And I'm excited to watch him because he's got all the tools to be a champ and a top 5 guy for a long time.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest difference between being in this as a career versus a money grab. A lot of guys with that kind of showing, they would have called out a top 5 guy because they want the big payday, maybe highlight a UFC fight, fight night, main event. Look, this guy's in it for the long haul, and he's legit.
Yep.
Spivak, I mean, we talked about last week saying, I wish he didn't get this fight because I really like Spivak.
Yep.
He's a underrated fighter, but he's very skilled. He's just not fast enough for Tom Aspinall, and it showed immediately.
Beautiful combination that Aspinall put on him. The finishing combination was sweet. It was a knee punch, and Spivak didn't even know what happened. He'd been hit with 3 strikes in all different parts of his body.
Aspinall's smooth. He can call out whoever he wants. The UFC knows this guy's trajectory straight up, and he's going to have I wouldn't be shocked if he's a main event at his next fight against somebody in the top 15.
Yep.
He's fun to watch, man, and he has serious speed. And again, might not have Cyril Gane type.
He's not there yet, but he's.
Yeah, he's legit though, and definitely a contender here in the near future.
All right, on to the main event. We got Derek Brunson versus Till, and this one surprised me a little bit. I definitely saw this as a possible outcome. In our last podcast, I said, if you believe this is going to happen, he's a must-play on DraftKings. He's the better value on DraftKings. His grappling could take over, win him rounds. Even in that scenario where I saw Brunson kind of grinding Darren Till out, I didn't expect it to be so dominant, and I didn't expect him to find the submission win. So, huge win for Brunson. He's a guy. There's some ridiculous stat I've seen where he's been the underdog in like 6 main events or 6 fights, and he's a guy that just keeps winning, and he's a guy that gets underestimated because he's not the most flashy guy, but he's an entertaining fighter, and he looked damn good against Till. There's not much else to say there. Brunson looked great. For Till, a report just came out, whether this is factual, not how much it affected the fight or not. Apparently, Michael Bisping had been training with him and had some knowledge of his camp. Said he tore his ACL like a month ago, complete ACL tear, wasn't able to do cardio. Whether this is true or not, I'm also just like, why would you accept the fight? Why would you go to a main event with a torn ACL with a possible title shot on the line? That's on Till, and I don't think that takes anything away from Brunson.
No, until Till didn't, release that knowledge. He's not leaning on that as an excuse here by any means. I was leaning Brunson in this fight, but not in this fashion at all.
Yeah.
Till had a great takedown defense up until this point, and you could argue he fought questionable wrestlers up to this point, but Brunson made it look real easy.
Yeah.
And we had even discussed in the podcast last week, even if Brunson's able to grind out a takedown, he's probably going to gas. And Till should be able to make it harder as the fight goes on.
Pop back up. Yeah.
And pop back up. But one, he didn't get up. And two, Brunson didn't use any effort to get him down.
No.
He got him in a clean double leg in the first round, and it was just, he timed it perfect. And yeah, look, a torn ACL could definitely affect this fight if that's the case. But for Brunson, it goes back to the point. Sanford MMA Brunson is a force to be reckoned with, man. He's very controlled. He's very, his fight IQ's gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And he's a legitimate wrestler. And in that division, a legit wrestler could give those guys at the top a serious problem, man.
Brunson might be the best wrestler actively at middleweight.
That's what
he really is.
That is the biggest knock on some of these top guys up there. I'm with you, though. I don't think he gets the title shot next. But if we could see like a Brunson Cannonier fight for the title, I definitely think he could get Cannonier to the ground. Again, look, Cannonier could knock him out. But Brunson could take him down and grind him out, man.
Yeah, you know what? I have I'm trying to even think the times that Brunson couldn't get a takedown. It was Adesanya knocked him out quick.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really have that much time. And Whitaker knocked him out in the first round. Whitaker also has some of the best takedown defense ever. Yeah. But those are the only two. I'm also even thinking back long ago in a fight he lost. Brunson completely out-wrestled Yoel Romero. Dominated 2.5 rounds, out-wrestling him, not out-striking him. Ended up getting finished in the third because Yoel Romero's a freak that can just do things like that. But, Brunson might not be getting enough respect for his wrestling. I think we were quick to talk about how bad Holland's takedown defense is.
Yeah, which is terrible.
Shabazian, same thing.
Yeah.
He's shown some lack in takedown defense, but it's just like maybe Brunson does have the best wrestling at middleweight. It's a very real possibility at this point when you see some of these performances. So I'm excited to see him kind of keep grinding, fight Cannonier, and who knows, maybe he could wait for the title shot. I don't think his name carries enough, especially if Adesanya. I guess honestly Whitaker's knocked him out too, but Adesanya was more recent. I think he's going to need to win one more to get that fight. I think more people are excited about Cannonier fighting one of those two guys. So,
and look, we know Cannonier doesn't have any money, so he'll definitely be taking a fight here soon. So,
yeah, so I think Brunson's in a good spot, though. He's in a good spot. He's either one fight away or possibly even already earned a title shot. So, good for him. For Till, man, I don't know. I might need to hear a little bit more about this ACL tear. Not that it takes anything away from this fight or Brunson's win. More, hey, is that really why you were a little sluggish? Is that really why your takedown defense was as bad as it is? If that's not the case, man, you just got out-muscled in there. Maybe I want to see you go back to 170. And I know that weight cut was really rough for him. But I just need to know a little bit more about that to kind of to see where his career trajectory goes. Because if that was full strength Till, not that he's not going to be a contender and a good fighter. He's not going to be champ at 185. He's just not he's not physical enough. And he was a big, strong 170er. If the ACL had a lot to do with this, hey, maybe he can rebuild himself, work on his wrestling, and be a good 185er. So
this really hurt him, though. Adesanya was saying his name, and he could have definitely had himself a title shot with a dominant win here.
Yep.
He's gonna have to work his way back up the rankings now. But
still young.
I was gonna say he's still young. He's still got the skills, man.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fighters reached out to him after this one and offered to really train his wrestling with him.
Yep. Shemev, actually, one of them reached out, which would be those guys have had some funny little podcast type stuff, so that would be an interesting crew.
But I mean, looking forward. Look, I'll always look forward to a Till fight. They're going to be exciting. This one just didn't go his way, but good card, good main event. So look, let's recap bets real quick. Obviously, we lose Shore inside the distance.
Which one hurt?
That one hurt. We lost Jourdain, small bet on Jourdain. Other than that, though, I mean, we had Aspinall.
And we had Roundtree.
We had Roundtree and we had Barrio going.
Yep.
Ended up doing pretty well overall for the weekend. And then DraftKings, I mean, I was on Rojo a lot, so when that fight got canceled, we both had to switch our cards up, and Brunson ended up being the fit on almost all of them.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, I actually played going into this card more Brunson than I wanted to. I was much heavier on Brunson just from a value standpoint. Worked out well for us.
We had Brunson and Roundtree on almost every card, and I think I had 3 6-win cards. I think cracked the top 300 on DraftKings big tournament.
Yep.
Cleaned up on cash. So it was a good DraftKings card.
Yep.
Now we have a week off, which is good. We get to really focus week 1 NFL. But the following weekend, September 18th, we have Smith and Spann headlining a UFC Fight Night. And that card is pretty deep so far. I think... Actually, I take that back. We have a couple fights knocked off of it. I think we're only at 9 fights left on that card. And, there's going to be some exciting ones, though. We got Joaquin Buckley on that card, Giagos. And then the main event should be a firefight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good card. I think there's some early value for bets there, and for DraftKings, there's some evenly matched stuff. So we're going to be excited to recap that. So looking forward to that. On this card, the biggest takeaways I think I had was main event, 2 drastically different trajectories, big fight. Patty, we may have a rising star with Patty, and then
Aspinall, another rising star. A little less with the persona and the talking, but as far as skills go, that guy's definitely going to be looking to move up. Patty. I mean, I'm looking forward to that guy fighting again, man. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So no video this Friday since we got the weekend off for MMA, but we'll definitely have our week 1 DraftKings football to tune into. But next week we'll give you guys some picks for that Smith-Spann card.
Yep. Check out our fantasy football. We're also going to be doing we did some draft recap, talk about some of the guys we have for our season long. In addition to that, we are going to be going over DraftKings week 1. There's a lot of value there too with some of the injuries that have happened. So we are excited to do that.
We'll cut the end of this.
God damn it.